Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Mommy Podcast. I am coming at you today with a personal story, sharing my birth story, my third birth story, with my recent little one, who is now about a year and a half. I wanted to share my birth story because I ask so many people about their birth stories, and I just think there's such an amazing moment in time that you never ever forget. It's one of those core memories every time I think you have a birth. So I've shared a little bit about my first two birth stories with my first cesarean, my second natural drug-free birth, and my third birth story. So you must be wondering, what happened? Was it natural? Was it C-section? Was it drug-free, full of drugs? What was it? Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. So my little baby girl, Ella, her due date was supposed to be the same day as my husband's birthday. And we kind of had a sense that she was going to come a little bit sooner. And I thought ahead of time, let's celebrate your birthday sooner before, all of the chaos of new baby and everything. And we'll be all out of whack and exhausted. So we'll just end up skipping your birthday. So we celebrated his birthday early. And this was about 6 days before his birthday. Now, on birthday night, chocolate mousse cake, lots of gluttonous, over-the-top food, and I was getting a few little cramps. Now, the date is November 21st. Getting a few random sporadic cramps, and I honestly just thought this is the baby being ticked off because I've just put in a whole bunch of overindulgence into myself. So that's what I thought. Anyways, then about midnight on the 21st, I was getting these, random sporadic cramps, but they were happening every few hours. And now that this is not my first time, I thought, okay, this is something I should kind of keep an eye on because this is not just food cramps or discomfort. This is probably baby because they were inconsistent, but every few hours. So sometimes they were short cramps, longer cramps. You kind of get the idea. So anyways, that kind of continued on. And then by 2 p.m. on the 22nd of November, so the next day, at 2 p.m., and I should just say, on the 21st, like sometimes it would go 3 hours with nothing, no feeling. And then I would get this random sporadic cramp. Like that's what I'm talking about, being like, oh, weird. What was that? So obviously that was the baby. Now, the next day on November 22nd, 2 p.m., they started about every 8 minutes or so consistently. And I have the little Storky app. It's a free app. You can just click when you get a contraction, hit it again when it stops, and it gives you a general timeline of your consistency. Because the rule of thumb is when, what is the rule of thumb? I forgot. I just know it's 4 minutes. When they're about 4 minutes, I think it's 411, 4 minutes, lasting for a minute. Go look it up. Four something. It's the 4 something rule. So anyways, they were 4 minutes apart. That's all I remember by the time you have to go to the hospital. So at 8 minutes or so, consistently at 2 p.m. So then 5 p.m., my husband's home from work and he's like got our bags ready to go. And I was going, yeah, okay, they're more consistent. And so he put our bags and my body into the car, and we were both just so calm this time, he made a pregnancy relaxation playlist. We're listening to the music. We're kind of laughing a bit, thinking, yeah, maybe we should have been there a little bit sooner. Kind of did the same thing we did last time, but we're feeling on top of it, like super confident, right? Because we've done this before. Now, we get to the hospital. We live in not a very big city, so 5:30, we're there, we're checked in, we're admitted. Lady comes in, checks everything out. Nurse comes in and does a pelvic check. So she just tries to see how dilated I was. And then she said, okay, you know what? We're actually going to take you right to the room. And she was super calm. She was like the nicest, most calm. The whole situation was very calm. Now I'm still dealing with like quite a lot of pain. And I'll preface this with, I found contraction pain worse than like pushing pain. So this is like the contraction pain is like the worst, where you can't talk through them. You're having a moment of pain. So anyways, she's checking me out every 4 minutes. I'm kind of going into this zone of like, I can't talk, can't think, anything. So checks me out, says, we're going to the room. Super calm. She goes, okay, let me go get a wheelchair. And the last time a year and a half ago, when I had my other daughter, Sadie, they put me in a wheelchair. And I mean, at that point I was like ready to go. I had to get in that. But they took me down like 3 rooms. Like it was right there. And then they popped me out of the wheelchair and put me on the bed. So I was like, oh, in my head, remembering this, it's not super far away. Well, I said, no, I'm going to walk. It's fine. I don't need a wheelchair because I know where we're going. Wrong. I didn't realize that this entire ward, we were basically on the other side of the ward, on the other side of the hospital. So we're just walking these like long hallways, which was probably good because it's, moving your hips and everything and it's fine. But by the time we got there, I was like, okay, this is like significant. This pain is like significant. So I sat on the big birthing ball thing, was just kind of rolling my hips around. And it was just really calm. Like the nurse was sitting there and she's checking things. She's talking to us about her kids. And she kept asking, do you want painkillers? How are you doing? And by that point I didn't. Like I felt like I could get through the contraction pain. And honestly, I was more scared when the other nurse came in and she was going to give me the IV. Like I absolutely hate that IV that they give you where it goes just above your wrist. It hurts so bad for me. And I was way more scared of that than the contraction pain, to be honest. So I waited until I was just out of a contraction and said, just like literally stick it in, just get it over with. But that was like a core memory where I was like afraid for that little tiny needle more than anything else. So anyways, after about 20 minutes of rolling on the ball, I have my IV lock in, everything is good. Doctor came in, she said, okay, well, let's lay on the bed, do a check. Let's see how things are going. And this is a doctor that was also at my family doctor's office. She was like so cool and calm and spunky and funny. She's one of those ladies that like snorts when she laughs, which is like so funny to me. Anyway, so she's there, she's like checking things out. And she's like, I think it would speed things up if I broke your water. And the first time I had a natural birth, I thought, you know what? I really don't want to do that. I want things to be natural. I want them to just like run their course and to do its thing. But she said, I honestly feel like this will speed things up. I feel like because your water hasn't broken by this point, it's just slowing things down and making it more painful for you and maybe baby, who knows? So I was like, okay, you know what? I like this woman. I trust her. Let's do it. Anyways, I'm sitting there and she's like jamming, trying to pop this water. And she's like, wow, you have a really thick membrane, which is like the grossest thing I think you could ever hear. But I remember the moment when she popped it and it was an actual like audible like sound. And then there was water everywhere. It was like, I felt like I was in like a bathtub, like all over the bed. It was great. Super disgusting for anyone that's not a mother that's had birth. But anyways, fantastic. Loved it. The whole time, I should say, my husband's like beside me with a mini fan. He's got the music going. He's kind of learned at this time, last time he was like rubbing my shoulders and rubbing my back. And when you're in that moment, you're like, don't touch me. Like, I love you so much, but this is like, I just need personal stress space. So he was there. He was at a safe distance and he would just check in, like the quick hand touches. He was absolutely amazing. Yeah. So basically she pops my water and I blacked out. Like I blacked out for a moment and then opened my eyes and she's like, okay, push. And I pushed twice and baby came out. I was in side lying position when she popped my water and I didn't move from there because like I said, I like blacked out for a minute. Like my head just went like, woof. Like when she popped my water, something weird happened. I just like so much intense pain and pressure at the same time. And so 2 pushes and our little Peanut was born and we got there, we got checked in at 5:30. So she was born at 7:00 at night. And just a few hours or like an hour and a half later, she came out honestly clean as a whistle. Like it looked like she had just been spa done, ready. There was no blood. There was nothing on her. It's like she came out in the bath of everything. She looked so cute. And yeah, the first thing she wanted to do was eat. She was like, and she's still like that. She just loves food. She came out and she was just like looking for food, instantly wanted food. There was no crazy abdominal pain when she's pushing on my uterus after. It was weird. And I don't feel like the pain for this natural birth and my previous natural birth were the same, but this was just, it seemed like it was a faster experience. I wasn't pushing for as long. Anyways, so yeah, there was like no tears. It was an incredible experience with like the music. We had like Michael Bolton playing in the background, the fan, my husband there, a nurse and the doctor, and that's it. And the nurse was a woman, the doctor was a woman, and it just made me feel so comfortable and so at home. And my husband was amazing. They're supportive, saying like the encouraging words I needed to hear the whole time. It was fantastic. And then the doctor, she's like looking around after and she's like, okay, well, you're good to go. And I was like, what? Is there like everything's good down there? Like you have that like moment of like, that happened really fast. That baby just came out. Everything's okay down there? And she's like, yeah, you've got one of those magic vaginas. Everything's fine. I said to my husband after, I'm like, that is like one of the nicest things someone could ever say to a mother. And he was like, wow, that's like one of the most like unprofessional things you could ever say in a workplace setting. However, I thought it was a huge compliment and I loved every minute of that moment. But yeah, it was an incredible experience. And I remember snuggling with her for a long time. She ate for a long time. And, going to have a shower, having a great night of sleep, waking up in the morning, and my mom came by. My husband went home and came back with my mom and my other two kids, and they got to meet their sister. It was just like, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I should say here, because maybe some moms are wondering, when do you know that you're done? I knew immediately after I saw her, when I saw her eyes, it was this calming, full circle. Everybody is here. The whole crew is here. I've got my husband and I and these 3 beautiful little girls, and I feel like I'm done. I feel like we are all here. I have no better way to explain that than like the words, we are all here. I felt those words. And I felt that a little bit in the pregnancy of like, I think I'm good with this. I feel like this might be the last one for me. I just had that feeling, but we're going to see, how things feel after baby is here. And I didn't think it would come so fast. I didn't think I would feel it so immediately after I saw her. So if you are wondering, yes, there is a moment. There's a moment in time where you feel like you're done, at least in my experience. So that's what I felt. So that was my birth story, and drug-free. I recommend that 10 times out of 10 to anyone that is looking at your options for having a birth. The recovery is amazing. You're able to control your pain centers. You're able to be more in touch, I think, with your body, what you're feeling, when to push, when to hold back, when to just balance your breathing. And I think that is really crucial for letting your body do the natural process of birthing, and you are built to birth. So if you can get through that pain, if you can get through those contractions and get to the end without any drugs, good for you. I do feel like the recovery is a lot easier than having an epidural or having any drugs while you're going through it. So that is my birth story. And I can't believe I'm saying that. It's like my last birth story. That is my last birth story. I'm very happy about it. Kind of sad to say it, but it was the best experience I could have asked for. And I'm super thankful to my little girl for giving us that and for being just such a great baby and putting me through such a good birth, because that is a 2-part thing. So thank you, Ella. Yes, it was great. Natural, drug-free for my 3rd, and quick and relatively painful. So for anyone that is coming up to having a birth, hopefully you get some insight into, what to expect, what can happen with some of my birth stories, if that helps at all. I love sharing them on here, and I love documenting them for the future too, so that I don't forget a darn thing when my kids grow up and one day ask about how they came into the world. So thank you for joining me for story time today, and I look forward to catching you in the next episode. Have a great night.